Hey, this is Mr. Mitchell with another video. Today I want to talk about the European Union. The European Union is 27 countries that belong to, well, 27 countries belong to this European Union. And it's not quite like an alliance like you used to have before and after some of these world wars. Uh, these alliances these 27 countries were originally brought together for the sake of trade. They were not brought together for the sake of some kind of defense, some kind of defensive alliance. And you can look down at this map right here, and you can see all the countries that are shaded are the ones that are in the European Union. There are a couple of exceptions. You have Iceland up here, which is not in the European Union. I believe this is Norway here, maybe Estonia here. I'm pretty sure this is Switzerland here, and a few of the countries in the Balkans area. Notice that Russia is not. Notice that Ukraine is not. But for the most part, most of the countries in Europe happen to be part of the European Union. The EU is what it is often referred to. The EU, European Union. Now, all these countries down in here, they're still independent. I mean, France still takes care of itself. Spain still takes care of itself. There's not really as much political decisions in the European Union as there is economic decisions. Countries hope that this union helps all their countries have economic prosperity and economic peace. Now, the EU does not create puppet governments. This is not like it was way back in the Cold War, whenever one country controlled others. I mean, these countries are not controlling each other. They are together for benefit of trade. There are some things that the EU does, and I have them listed here, 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 things that the European Union does. It creates a standard currency, and the standard currency for these countries is called the euro. And you can see what the euro looks like here. This is the standard currency that goes all throughout all these areas here. Now that's so much more convenient for trade, because you used to have, well, in United Kingdom you had the pound, in France you had the franc, in Germany you had the Deutschmark. There was all kinds of different levels of currency. The lira was in Italy, and instead of, if you wanted to trade from one country to the next, you had to exchange one currency to another currency. But that is not the case here. You have the euro, all of these euros here, which is the common currency for all of this. So if you're trading from one country to the next, you don't have to trade out any of your old pounds, francs, or their version of dollars. Another thing the European Union does is that it does away with tariffs. A tariff is a tax paid on goods from another country. So a tariff is a tax on goods coming from another country. So beforehand, if you were to trade something from here in Spain to the United Kingdom, whoever traded it would have to pay some kind of tax as it entered the United Kingdom. If you're from France here and traded with, say, Italy, you'd have to pay some kind of tax just to do that. But what that does, by doing away with all these taxes, it encourages businesses and countries to trade. If it's like a tax-free weekend all the time, you might say. So without having to pay any taxes, that means that you would have more reason in which to trade. Now, each country, of course, has their own individual personal tax, but it's not going to be on goods traded from one place to the next. The EU has done away with that. A third thing that the EU does is it helps poorer countries become wealthier. One thing you had, for example, was, I think it was Ireland. Ireland here was not doing well financially. I think this was like back in the 90s or in early 2000s. So the European Union gave them money. They gave them money. It's kind of a way to keep some countries from just getting dirt poor and other countries from getting all the wealth, you might say. Over in Romania, I believe it is, which is one of these countries over in this vicinity, it helped with the sewer systems to make it more environmentally sound. So the EU is also kind of in the business of just generally making economics better. What it does help is with the standard of living, and that is a term that is in our book, standard of living. The standard of living is the quality of life based on goods and services available. So if you are in the European Union, or at least the hopes are, is that your quality of life based on goods and services is high. Now, sure, there can be people who are very wealthy who are unhappy, who do not have a good quality of life. There will be people who are very poor that are happy and have a good quality of life. But this is based on the goods and services available. If a person has clothing, if a person has shelter, if a person has some of the essentials of life, that means their standard of living is at least a minimal, at least a little bit high. So the more things you can have, the higher the standard of living would be. European Union has also promoted some other things. They have promoted clean environmental practices. And I'm not writing very well there. Environmental practices, and has helped try to train people for jobs. It's just kind of a all around good economic union, you might say, and kind of as a result of the peace that has come from the free trade all throughout Europe, the EU was actually given just this year the Nobel Peace Prize. You can imagine if countries are trading with each other and people are happy that they're selling things and that they're buying good things, that you probably aren't going to have that many conflicts between countries. And as a result, they have that appears to be working. So they've gotten the Nobel Peace Prize for 2012. Many of the old Soviet governments, their puppet governments, have wanted to join the European Union. I guess the line between East and Western Europe was probably right out in here before. And you may remember that these countries over on this side were poor. I mean, they were, because the Soviet Union and this side refused to accept the Marshall Plan. So since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the destruction of and the fall of the Soviet Union, the European Union has kind of helped to make this side of what used to be Warsaw Pact countries, well, a little less poor. Hope you've learned a little bit about the European Union. I do have some questions for you. Number one, what was the European Union's, why was the European Union first made? Why? What's the original intent of the European Union? And it's pretty much the same intent now. Number two, what is the European Union currency? Number three, what is a tariff? Number four, what is a standard of living? What is that term? And number five, what prize did the European Union win in 2012?